Greetings and salutations, dear viewers. Get ready for some fantastic content. Welcome to our channel, where today's focus is all about 50 goals in 50 games. Let's get started. In the National Hockey League (NHL), the phrase 50 goals in 50 games 50 in 50 refers to a player scoring 50 goals within the first 50 or fewer games of his team's season. Only 5 players in 8 different seasons have reached the mark, most recently Brett Hull in. Wayne Gretzky 3 times and Hull twice are the only players with multiple official 50 in 50 accomplishments. With the foundation laid, let's embark on a journey into Maurice Richard. 50 in 50 games 50 in 50. Maurice Richard of the Montreal Canadiens was the first player in NHL history to score 50 goals in one season. He scored his 50th goal on March 18, 1945, in the 50th and final game of the NHL season on goalie Harvey Bennett of the Boston Bruins. Richard's accomplishment also broke the NHL single-season goal-scoring record. It had previously been held by Joe Malone of the Montreal Canadiens, who scored 44 goals in a 20-game season in. Besides Richard's 50 in 50 feat, he also led the NHL in goals on 4 other occasions and was the league's first career 500 goal scorer. Richard never again reached the 50-goal mark in his career, even though the NHL extended its schedule to 60 games in and later to 70 games in. Richard retired in 1960. In recognition of his achievements, the NHL created an annual award in 1999, the Maurice "Rocket" Richard Trophy, which was donated by the Montreal Canadiens, to be presented to the top goal scorer in the league. Richard's 50-goal season was the last until Bernie Geoffrion scored 50 goals in the season, also with the Canadiens. When Bobby Hull finally broke the single-season goal record with 54 goals in, fans of the then-retired Richard, noting that Hull was playing in a 70-game schedule, demanded that the NHL continue to recognize Richard's record. Hull's fans countered that Richard had achieved his record during World War II, during which many Nillers enlisted in the military. Richard, who was notoriously prone to injury throughout his career, was deemed unfit for service. Additionally, the counter-argument noted Richard's failure to match the record in peacetime, with the caliber of the NHL not similarly hindered, even though he played in 11 70-game seasons. The NHL awarded Hull the record, while at the same time recognizing Richard as the first, and to that point only, player to score 50 goals in 50 games, firmly establishing the achievement into NHL law. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into the fascinating world of Mike Bossy. 50 in 50 games 50 in 50. In the season, Mike Bossy of the New York Islanders became only the second player to score 50 goals in 50 games, 36 years after Richard had done so. Bossy's quest for the milestone was heavily covered by the hockey press, as Bossy was unofficially competing with Charlie Simmer of the Los Angeles Kings to be the first to accomplish it since Richard. Their competition was intense during late January 1981. With both players participating in their 50th game on January 24, 1981. Simmer started the day with 46 goals and Bossy 48. Simmer had a hat-trick against Boston, giving him 49 goals in 50 games, barely missing the mark. Making his game against the Quebec Nordic was particularly dramatic. Bossy was scoreless for much of the game but beat goaltender Ron Graham twice within the final 5 minutes. He could have had 51 goals in 50 games, but passed the puck back to Brian Trottier because he felt it was the right play and had already achieved his goal of 50 goals in 50 games. Bossy finished the season with 68 goals in 79 games played, while Simmer would finish with 56 goals in 64 games. In the upcoming section, we'll be shining a light on Wayne Gretzky. 61 in 50 games 50 in 39. 61 in 50 games 50 in 42. 53 in 50 games 50 in 49. Wayne Gretzky of the Edmonton Oilers broke the 50 in 50 mark less than a full year after Bossy had tied Richard. In Gretzky's 38th game of the 1981-82 season, he scored 4 goals, giving him 45 on the season. In his next game, on December 30, 1981, he scored a rare 5 goals in one game against the Philadelphia Flyers, the 5th being an empty net goal with 3 seconds left in the game, to give him the record of 50 goals in 39 games. He had 50 goals before any other player had scored 30, and would finish the season with an NHL record 92 goals, having participated in all 80 of the Oilers' games. It is important to note that Joe Malone had 44 goals in the first season of 20 games. Gretzky went on to score 50 goals within 50 games, twice more in his career. He scored his 50th goal in the team's 42nd game on January 7, 1984, and finished the season with the second highest single-season total with 87 goals in 74 games. Gretzky's 50th goal was an empty net goal that put the Oilers up in a win over the Hartford Whalers at home. It was also Gretzky's 3rd goal of the game, completing a hat trick. Also Gretzky accumulated the fastest 50 goals recorded over consecutive games at any point of a season when he scored 50 goals over 34 consecutive games from December 14, 1983 through March 11, 1984. He scored his 50th in the team's 49th game, ending the season with 73 goals in 80 games. Gretzky's 50th goal came on January 26, 1985, his 24th birthday, on the first of 3 goals he scored in a win over the Pittsburgh Penguins, beating goaltender Dennis Herron. It was the 3rd time Gretzky scored 50 goals within 50 games, and the 3rd time his 50 in 50 goal was achieved with a hat trick. Get ready to uncover the mysteries surrounding Mario Lemieux as we navigate its intriguing terrain. 54 in 50 games, 50 in 46. Mario Lemieux of the Pittsburgh Penguins was the next player to score 50 goals in 50 or fewer games, achieving the feat on January 20, 1989. Lemieux's 50th goal came in Game 46 of the team's schedule against the Winnipeg Jets and goaltender Pokey Reddick, which was Lemieux's 44th game of the season. Lemieux finished the season with the 4th highest single-season total with 85 goals in 76 games. Let's zoom in on Brett Hull and understand its implications. 52 in 50 games, 50 in 49. 50 in 50 games, 50 in 50. Brett Hull scored 50 goals in 50 games or fewer twice in his career for the St. Louis Blues. Hull first did it in the season when he scored his 50th goal, and 2nd of the game, against rookie goalie Dave Gagnon of the Detroit Red Wings on January 25, 1991, in the Blues' 49th game. Hull finished the season with the 3rd highest single-season total with 86 goals in 78 games played. His 2nd time, the most recent season the feat was achieved, was during the subsequent season. On January 28, 1992, Hull scored his 50th goal against goalie Kelly Hrudey in game number 50, a tie in Los Angeles. He ended the season with 70 goals in 73 games. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of 50 goals in players' first 50 games. By definition, the 50 in 50 is an official achievement only because a player completes it within their team's first 50 games, reflecting Maurice Richards' achievement in the 50-game season of. This specificity of the first 50 games thus differs from records for most goals in a season, which is not limited by the increasing number of scheduled games in an NHL season, which has been as high as 84 games and has been set at 82 games since the. While not considered an official record, the following players scored 50 goals in their first 50 games, but outside of their team's first 50 games, due to the player having missed some of his team's first 50 games due to injury, disciplinary action, or other reasons. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of World Hockey Association and examine its core elements. Bobby Hull, despite having never reached 50 in 50 during his NHL career, did earn a 50 in 50 season with the Winnipeg Jets of the World Hockey Association. Hull's accomplishment made him the first player to reach the mark in any professional hockey league since Maurice Richards' 50 in 50 season in. Hull had 47 goals through 49 games before recording a hat-trick in his 50th game to reach the milestone. He finished with 77 goals in 78 games, which was the new single-season record for most goals scored at the time. Phil Esposito of the Boston Bruins had scored 76 in 78 games though he only scored his 50th goal in his 58th game. Anders Hedberg, while also playing for the Jets, broke the record He scored 51 goals in 49 games, becoming the first NHL or WHA player to score 50 goals in fewer than 50 games. He finished with 70 goals in 68 games. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.